Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Connie, Wendy. Good to see you. Brian, Pamela, Bill. Great to see you all. Zoom user with the Earth. That's Eclipse Carol. Nice. Okay, good. Very appropriate. Very nice. All right, so we'll give people a few minutes to join, including our trusty Stephen Altair.
Where are you?
Where am I? That's a good question. I am, well, virtually, I am in on Mount Karama in Kapune Temple or Shrine. Um, Mount Karama is the birthplace of Reiki, and Monica, who's just coming on, Monica and I were on Mount Karama in 2018 and walked over to this shrine and took this picture. And I thought, oh, that's a perfect practice space because that's what people do in this space. So it's anyway, with the state of our house kind of all being cleared out as we prep for moving, we're going to have virtual backgrounds for a while. So yeah. So yes, so we're in the birthplace of Reiki here, which is a great place to practice. And you can imagine if you were in this shrine, which you see on the sides, it's open and there's always water sounds because there's a beautiful river coming down the mountain. It rains a good deal. There's waterfalls and yeah, so you can just imagine that we're sitting in this very peaceful spot with waterfalls and here comes Byron and Becca. They were just in Costa Rica, so maybe some similarity to where they were. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome, Byron and Becca. Pamela, good to see you. Fred, good to see you. Oh, wee hours of the morning for you, Fred. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, Stephen should be here any moment, but we'll get started with reading from Awakening the Mind. Oh, oh, it's a little harder to see that in my virtual background, but there it is by Anna Wise. And we are in chapter 4 now. So we've gone through practices that emphasize alpha brainwaves. So accessing relaxation and creativity, and practices that emphasize theta brainwaves, so a little slower than alpha, that give us access to the subconscious for insight and for healing. And now chapter 4 is about exploring delta brainwaves. Oh, here comes Stephen. Just in time. All right. So Anna Wise titles chapter 4, which is about delta brainwaves, as our intuitive radar. And let's read a little bit about what she has to say about delta brainwaves. Delta waves are the lowest and slowest of our brainwave frequencies, ranging from 4 down to 0.5 cycles per second. Stop and take a moment to consider how slow this really is. Compared to our highest frequency thinking beta waves. Now, we've discovered that there are higher frequency waves now, gamma brain waves, but at the time this book was written, she uses the range of beta waves as the highest. So compared to our highest frequency thinking beta waves, 0.5 hertz is one emission every 2 seconds compared to 38 emissions per second in high beta. Even theta, our subconscious, is 4 to 8 cycles per second. So delta is below the speed of the subconscious. It is the unconscious. We produce delta brain waves while we are asleep, while we are literally unconscious. But sometimes we produce delta waves in combination with other waves while we are awake. When this is the case, I like to call delta our radar. It is that part of us that reaches out on the most unconscious levels to intuit or understand what is happening. It is that which helps us reach into other people to feel what they are feeling and deeply understand what they are thinking. As such, Delta helps provide our intuition, our empathy, and our insight. This inner knowing can range from everyday life experiences to extraordinary psychic phenomena. Delta is present in the brainwave patterns of healers, regardless of the techniques they are using. Channelers and those who receive information from other realms, as well as those who are in touch with the collective unconscious, exhibit high amplitude delta waves. Spiritual masters frequently produce large amounts of delta. But delta can also be experienced uncomfortably as an oversensitivity to external stimuli. So again, always with brainwaves, it's important to note that in order to understand what a brain wave is accessing, you have to combine it with the self-report of the person whose brain waves are being measured. So asking them what they are experiencing and then comparing that to the brainwave patterns. Okay. So below we will look at the variety of delta experiences besides sleep. In order for you to be aware of your delta experience and to make use of any of the unconscious, intuitive, or spiritual content of the delta, you must also have other frequencies present at the same time so that the information can be received by your conscious mind. The awakened mind, with its full complement of beta, alpha, theta, and delta, will give you the greatest conscious access to your delta brainwave content. And then she goes on, we're on page 102, she goes on to give examples of personal experience of the delta radar, as she calls it. So you have probably experienced all of these things. You know the phone is going to ring right before it does. You think of a friend a few minutes before you bump into him or her. You feel an unexplained pain only to find later that your child was hurt at that exact time. You know what someone is going to say before they say it. You know exactly what someone is feeling, even though they are trying hard to mask it, and other people are fooled. She goes on to say, some people are capable of talking to each other, so telepathy, with these brain waves without opening their mouths or voicing a sound. A student of a well-known spiritual teacher shared her experience. We sat with each other for over an hour. We had a long and intricate conversation in which I asked him many personal questions, and he gave me answers. It was only when we had finished and I said thank you that I realized that for the entire time, neither one of us had uttered a word. So those are some great examples of delta, but in general, you can just think of it as your access to information within and all around you and throughout the collective consciousness that is coming in at a subconscious, unconscious level. All right. She goes on to say how it's important in terms of recognizing that content that beta and delta are in combination. So you can think of beta as attention and delta as the unconscious information. So whether or not we receive the information delta has to offer consciously in our beta thinking mind can depend on how much access we have to the frequencies in between beta and delta, alpha and theta. In other words, is the bridge open enough to allow the flow of information from delta through theta, through alpha, up to beta? If we have the combination of beta and delta brainwaves with no interconnecting bridge of alpha or theta, Then we're thinking with one part of our being and intuiting with another part of our being. If the beta overrides the delta, we may not even hear the information in delta, or we may hear it but not understand it, or we may even understand it but not act on it. So this information is coming into us all the time. So we're always picking up information from the unconscious, from the collective consciousness. But it's a matter of if we are tuned into that and not overriding it with our thinking, conceptual, analytical mind that determines if we are accessing that information. Okay, so we're going to continue with this chapter next week. So I'll read more of the background information next week. But let's move right into our practice. And tonight's practice for activating delta is called the bubble. And the basic idea of it is you can consider that what you have conscious access to, what information you have conscious access to, is present in various layers or bubbles. So maybe there's a real personal layer that's just right around your body. And then we're going to expand out and feel as if there's a layer that encompasses the whole room. So you're in a bubble the size of your room, and you're feeling out into that size of space and accessing the information in that size of space. And then we're going to expand out the size of a football field. So like 100 yards out, and feel out into that size space. And then we're going to work between those layers. So you can think of this as like your personal, maybe your interpersonal, and then the wider transpersonal sphere or collective unconscious. So we're going to go into that experiment and play with that in our practice. So let's move right into that. Okay, so sit comfortably upright. And we'll begin with our usual posture and relaxation cues. So we go through alpha and theta and then down into delta. All right, so have your feet firmly on the ground, parallel with each other. Let's cup our hands in our laps with the tips of our thumbs touching lightly. And lightly close your eyes. And just take a moment to settle in your seat, to be present here and now, just as you are. So feel your presence in your body. Feel your presence in the environment around you. And consider your environment as a sacred space, a space that embraces you, a safe space. Notice how your body feels as you sit in this safe space. Maybe you begin to relax just a little bit more. And as you relax and settle into presence, just notice any thoughts, feelings, or sensations that are present. Maybe you're carrying with you some emotions from the day, or you've been thinking about certain issues. Just be aware of those. You don't have to stop that. Just be present with it. Allow it to be as it is. allow yourself to be as you are. And now consider your intention for your practice, for our practice. Why is this important to you? Why is it important to you to connect with your intuition, your inner radar?
Connected to different layers of myself.
And consider that your practice, our practice, is not only for you, that the effect of this practice extends to all your loved ones, to all of us gathered here together, to everyone you interact with, and even more widely and invisibly throughout our collective consciousness and all that is. You are an important part of a greater whole, and your state of consciousness matters. So consider dedicating this practice to the well-being of all beings, that we all might tune in to our deeper connections with each other, our environment, with all that is. We're always receiving infinite amounts of information that are filtered through our conscious minds. So in this practice, we're opening up those filters to perceive more deeply and more widely. Now let's focus down into the soles of our feet and feel the contact with the earth underneath you. Allow your feet and your toes to soften and relax, as if they are melting deep down into the earth. Feel your connection with the earth and the grounded presence and solid support of the earth underneath you. Allow that feeling of grounded presence to flow up through your feet, up through your shins and calves, your knees and thighs, into your hips and pelvic bowl, resting down in your seat. Feel the weight of your body resting down in your seat, resting down on the earth. And focus into your palms and fingers resting cupped in your lap. Awaken sensory awareness here in your hands. Allow your hands to soften and relax, as if they are melting down into your legs. Feel the soft openness in your hands, connected to this soft openness in your heart. And as your hands relax, allow your arms and shoulders to relax down, releasing any tension in your shoulders, your neck, and your head. Imagine and feel as if a string is attached to the top of your head, drawing your spine gently upright, like a string of luminous pearls. Feel your spine gently stretched from your perineum and tailbone right up through the top of your head. Feel your spine like a channel of light flowing upwards, up through the top of your head and opening to the sky above. Feel the tingling aliveness in your crown, the top of your head. Open to receive information. Now tuck your chin just slightly to gently lengthen the back of your neck. Lightly close your lips and breathe in and out through your nose. Rest your tongue up on the roof of your mouth with the tip of your tongue touching the gum line behind your upper front teeth. Soften and relax your tongue here. Softening your tongue sends a relaxation signal through your vagus nerve from your brain stem in the center of your brain, down through your heart, your abdomen, and out through your whole body. As you feel this relaxation, you're moving into alpha brainwaves. Smile as you enjoy this feeling of relaxed, smiling, positive energy. Allow the feeling of smiling to shine through your eyes. Release any tension from your eyebrows and your forehead. Allow this relaxed feeling of smiling to wash down from the top of your head, down through your brain, your neck, your shoulders, arms, and hands, down through your chest and upper back, down through your abdomen and lower back, down through your hips, legs, and your feet. Feel your body as a whole from the inside, the entire space inside your skin, and including your skin. Feel the presence and aliveness of your whole body and your entire skin around your body. Now feel as if there's a bubble around your whole body. So you might imagine feeling this starting above your head and then circling down around your whole body, including your feet and your toes. This is your personal space, your personal bubble. What you are conscious of. Now, imagine and feel a bubble the size of your room. And feel that whole space, the space inside that larger bubble. That includes the other layers of your energy field, your subconscious. Feel that middle size bubble and all the space inside it. Now imagine another bubble, much bigger than that. Perhaps the size of a football field, 100 yards, 50 on each side of you, 50 yards on each side, 50 above, 50 below. Really large bubble. Feel out into that whole space. Feel out into the information present in that whole space. Imagine and feel this as the unconscious. A wider access to information. Be aware of these three bubbles, the big one, unconscious, the middle one, the subconscious, and the small personal one, conscious. Feel all three at once. And Stephen will guide us from here.
So as you're feeling these three bubbles, your small one, middle-sized one, and that very, very large one, allow yourself to return to the first bubble, your consciousness bubble, and feel it around you, encompassing you from the top of your head all the way to the bottom of your feet. This is your personal bubble, your personal space, with all your boundaries. So just feel those for a moment. Just notice what boundaries feel like to you. Allow yourself to simply feel this bubble enclosing your consciousness. And just be aware of the experience of this. Just become aware of your personal space. Just notice what the boundaries feel like. Some of you might have very strong boundaries. Some of your boundaries might feel flexible. Just notice what they feel like to you. Just be aware. I often feel boundaries like elements. Mine feel like a water element, as if I'm in the ocean. What do your bubble boundaries feel like? And now, very gently, allow your bubble to expand, to encompass somebody else. Just notice who comes into the field of your bubble. Could be somebody who's immediately in your physical vicinity. It could be somebody in our group here. It could be any one of us in this group. Or it could be somebody that doesn't even exist on this physical plane. Just notice who's present. What does that feel like? As you allow your bubble to gently expand and encompass somebody else, what does it feel like when they pop into your bubble? When they enter your personal space? What happens to your boundaries? Just notice, without any judgment, without any analysis. Just simply be aware of the feeling of what happens when they enter. Notice and simply be aware. And now continue to allow your bubble to expand and slowly take in another person. Again, this could be somebody in your physical environment that's nearby, that's in your house or apartment. It could be somebody who's not in these realms at all. Just notice what happens. Notice who you're guided to include as you continue to allow your bubble to grow. Slowly taking in another person, and then another, and then another, without any judgment or analysis. Slowly become aware of the experience of each person entering your bubble, just as they are. What happens each time a person enters your bubble? What kind of response do you have? Do different people give you different responses? Just feel into them. Simply experience this without any analysis, without beta, without judgment. Now continue expanding your bubble to include everybody here in this group. Me and Kevin and Garth, Becca, Byron and Bill, Brian, Carol, Connie, Fred, Janet, Liz, Michelle and Monica, Rebecca and Wendy. Allow your bubble to include all of us. Be aware of the larger group consciousness that's present now as we feel into each other. And as you feel, including each and every one in the room, in this space, on the call, just be aware of the feeling of this too. And now really begin to expand your bubble so that it expands beyond the confines of the room, this call. Start to allow your bubble to expand to include everybody that you love, everybody you connect with, all your friends, And be aware of the experience of each person as they enter your consciousness bubble, your personal space, your boundaries. Continue to allow your consciousness bubble to expand and include as many people as you wish. Time and distance are irrelevant. Simply be aware of what it feels like to send your radar outwards to people you love. And as you continue to expand your consciousness bubble, you may include many beings, animals, birds, trees, beings not from this planet, perhaps other realms, angelic beings, celestial beings, beings not of this solar system or this star system. Just notice what happens as you continue to expand who you are guided to include. Continue to expand your consciousness bubble outwards and then outwards again. Every time you think you have found a boundary or a limit, see if you can extend it beyond that. Notice what happens as you go into the infinite dimensions of your consciousness bubble, what you're guided to include, who you're guided to include. That could include ascended masters, beings from the past or from the future, even beings that you've never considered contacting before. Notice what happens and what you're aware of as you send this ever expanding outwards. And now, very slowly, in a few moments, you're going to be ready to slowly allow your bubble to shrink. And as you do, you're going to gently allow one person and then another to move out of the bubble. So notice your experience as each person hops out of your bubble, person by person, without judgment, without thought. Just notice the way that this arises as the bubble shrinks. Continue to allow your bubble to shrink so that person after person after person leaves the bubble, pops out of the bubble. Until finally you will be back alone, seated right at the center of your bubble, a bit like a soap bubble surrounding you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Just be aware of the feeling of all of this. Now take a few moments simply to become aware of your experience of this meditation. What did you learn about yourself? Were you more comfortable when you were expanded or when you contracted? Are you more comfortable alone or surrounded by many people? Are there particular people you feel more comfortable expanding around? Why? What were your emotions like as you expanded? And then again, as you contracted your bubble. Just notice your emotions. Notice your feelings. Were there any points that you found yourself analyzing or judging what was happening? How spontaneous were you? What does this tell you about your sense of boundaries? And when you're ready, gently bring the meditation to a close and return to a normal waking state as you feel into your feet. Simply allow yourself to return. Feel your feet, feel your hands. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your hands relax in your lap. Feel that gentle uprightness and clarity of your posture. This is a practice that you can do at any time and in any situation, location, with a group of people or by yourself. It can help you to understand your sense of boundaries and your personal space. You can literally be sitting in a room with another person and extend your bubble out and notice how you feel as you include him or her, or an object, or a pet, or a plant or animal, or some other being. Can really help you understand your personal space and the way that you set or don't set boundaries. It also helps you to feel into your relational connectedness with people, your sense of connection, and also your communication with others. You can try this in many different ways and in many different situations. You can try this when you're in a shop and somebody serves you and they're not serving you particularly well. And you can use this to either help you understand that person better and maybe create greater empathy for what they're going through. Or equally, you can create a boundary. You can make the boundaries that you have clearer so that you don't take on their bad mood or their energy or their emotions. Experiment with it. Just notice how it arises for you so that you can feel into creative ways of making this exercise serve you better. You'll notice that it really fine-tunes your sense of relational attunement, or the way that we connect, or the energy of the space between you and people in the physical and also in other dimensions. It's especially helpful anytime you're having trouble communicating with somebody and you're trying to look for a different way to help understand them. And this can be anybody. It could be your partner, your boss, a colleague, a friend, just somebody casual that you happen to bump into out in the public. And just notice what happens to your communication with them after you actually include them or don't in your consciousness bubble. Whatever you need to do, it will add to your wisdom. It will help you expand the sense of the way that we relate and the way that we hold space for others. And if at any time you don't want to include that person because that feels more comfortable, then trust that intuitive sense, and that would be the right thing to do. So thank you always, Kevin, for your pristine guidance. And thank you, everybody, for being on this beautiful practice. I really love this practice. I actually do this a lot. I feel it, and I do it with not just physical beings, but other beings from other dimensions who may appear, and then the way that I relate to them too. So there is literally no boundary in that sense. It's very infinite and wide. So yeah, please do feel free to share any experience that you had. Maybe who did show up, maybe the way that people showed up, or the way that you reacted or related to beings within that consciousness bubble. So Kevin, I'm going to pass back to you, and just for any questions or insights or reflections that people might have. And thank you again, always, Kevin, for your pristine guidance.
Thank you, Stephen, for that beautiful guidance. It's wonderful practice. And we welcome all of you to share your experiences or any questions. Was that Monica? Was that a hand up? Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much, you guys. I love that practice. That was beautiful. It's really interesting because I think doing something like this, like years ago, I felt pretty opposite of today. So it's really fun. And I noticed that when I started the bubble, Kevin popped in, and then immediately, like this whole group just came into the bubble, and the feeling I felt was just warm in my heart, like really warm and safe and just so much love. And then as it just kept going out, the trees and the environment, and then it went up, and I felt like angelic beings were there, kind of, they were always there, but since I went so high, I think you said 50 feet or something, I just noticed that they were there. And one of my clients today was in there, and she just fit right in to this group. Like her heart's really warm, and it was really beautiful. And then when I came back, I noticed in the past, I used to feel more comfortable here. And I think actually this time today, I felt more comfortable, more expanded. And when I came in, and I think Kevin or Stephen just said, what do you feel as you come in? I think I noticed I felt a little sadness to not be with everybody, I think. And that was kind of a sweet feeling. But I was just noticing that. And I think it was really helpful. I think when Stephen was saying, don't judge it, just like notice it. And that was really, I really enjoyed that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Monica. Beautiful description. Thank you. Connie and then Wendy.
This was interesting for me because I think in general, I tend to have a ridiculously big bubble, and I kind of just take people into my space and my energy. But I also am really sensitive, and I think I've always been really sensitive to other people's energy that's around them in their bubbles, so to speak, which I think can be kind of a mixed blessing, because I live with someone who's got a very strong energy field, and it changes shape depending on how he's feeling and relating to the world. And sometimes it's actually spiky, and I will actually like go up to him and like smooth it out some, which I know is
Mm.
kind of maybe kind of silly, but it's for real, you know. So for me, this whole bubble exercise felt pretty natural, and yet I like to have a big bubble. I like everybody to be in my bubble. And so coming back into my own bubble, I was like, okay, that's fine, but it's more of a party when everyone's in the bubble. So I enjoyed that. So thank you.
Thank you, Connie. And since we were talking about Reiki up top, the start, that's a practice we do in Reiki too, is just smoothing down the energy field, right?
Yeah.
Smoothing down and around another person as a way of just helping calm the energy and smoothing things out. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Connie. Wendy.
When you very first started the meditation, I had a big, bright rainbow right outside my window.
Mm,
And it seemed like so synchronous, you know. It just
mm,
started as you said, but I didn't want to close my eyes, and I wanted to include that rainbow energy. It was very sweet.
mm,
What I noticed is that I'm fairly adept at expanding, but I go into a different state of consciousness. I think I don't include the beta enough. I go into delta and kind of lose consciousness. You know,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not that aware, and I actually like that. That's okay with me. And I did like that intermediate place of including different people and including the group and my husband and everything. I like that. But I like getting really expansive and whatever. I've been in a lot of dental pain for the last week. I had some dental surgery. And when we came back, it was like, oh man, didn't feel that at all. The whole time I was expanded, it was completely gone. No wonder I like that state, you know. It's a state of no pain. And
Yeah.
so when we came back, I was like, well, I like to meditate, but no pain there. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed connecting with everybody, and how different people came in was very interesting. One of my clients came in laying down. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It was great. Thanks so much. Wonderful.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, it's interesting, that relationship to pain. And that's something that I do at the dentist's office, is go way out. So they can do whatever they're doing, but I'm way out. Yeah. So it's an interesting experiment to play with that sense of how big, right? How small. Thank you, Wendy. Yes, Rebecca.
Hey there. That was nice. I really needed that. Thank you so much. I started to notice how certain family members would come in and I would put them at different levels of closeness to me. So that was interesting. And then when I let the group in, you guys all came in kind of like the snake energy, like whoop, there you are. And it just felt really good to have you in this bubble outside myself. And yeah, I just kept adding and adding, and it felt really good. But when I started subtracting, I noticed that I relate to Monica's um, commentary when she said she felt sad. I actually started to get a little teary-eyed with the closer I brought it to me and watching everyone's energetics leave. So that was interesting. So yeah, it was very interesting, asking some of those end questions that Stephen was talking about, like, yeah, what it feels like when someone's there, why are some people closer or not closer? How does it feel if they get closer or leave? That's a really good inquiry. And yeah, I didn't feel anything, like I didn't feel what they were thinking or anything about them. It just felt them either close or leaving, and the sensation of that. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I had more that knowing of, like, I don't know, that psychicness, but it is what it is. But I was surprised by the tears for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah. Beautiful. It's really a great exploration to just to feel that and feel the emotions. And we can see how our emotions are information, right? About what's being included in our energy field at the moment, what's not, how to work with that, how to expand or contract as needed. Yeah, I think this is a fascinating practice. Thank you, Rebecca. Let me read a couple in the chat. Carol says, so first colors came in, and I realized it was the tortoise colors of Kevin and Becca and her husband's shirts. And then it melded into a picture I've been coloring for a couple weeks called Luncheon of the Boating Party by Renoir. Oh, nice. There are 14 people in this picture. I made it very colorful, not like the original painting. I could feel the stories of the people in the pictures. They are actual people. Some are artists. Oh, fascinating. That's interesting. Thank you, Carol. Liz, oh, she asks if everyone's Zoom is being weird. I don't know what you mean by weird, but I do notice people's faces popping around my Zoom. Let's see. Mine's okay, says Rebecca. Okay. Probably me. It is happening what seems to be correlated things I'm doing. I don't know. My timing is off cadence. Okay. Thanks for being here, Liz, and we welcome you to the cadence of the group. Carol says, I had an experience last week with two old friends I haven't seen in a while. I went into a hypnosis-like state and felt their energy in previous lifetimes. I could also see what they came here to do. It was very emotional for me. None of that experience was planned. We were sitting in a Panera store. Interesting. Yes, this information is coming in all the time. It's just a matter of if we're tuned in or not. It felt like I was a big antenna. Yes, you're very intuitive. Ah, Brian commented on the Zoom thing. Michelle says I used the Muse. Okay, Michelle, it's your turn.
Oh, it is. Okay. This is Redmond. Hi, Red.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. He arrived and I said, do you want to put the Muse on? He hasn't ever seen, he doesn't even know what a Muse is. And he's like, okay. So, Red, we used Mind Monitor and Meditation Monitor to map that. I had a lot of delta because Red's tired. So Howard he expresses that he falls asleep during every meditation. Why and how to not do that?
Yeah. So it's, common for certain people to be more delta prone if you're real empathic or you're a natural healer or that sort of thing. And it's also common for us to associate delta with sleep, so that when delta waves arise, the body's like, oh, that's sleep time. And so there isn't a strong association of delta and sleep. So really, it's just a matter of training, of bringing and that's one of the reasons why we, at the beginning, for example, feel the opening at the crown, to feel that brightness and clarity of awareness, which tends to be more beta and gamma waves, and then to bring that in to the body and into the state. And the more that you do like brightening practices and then merge them with the kind of going deeper practices, then over time you train yourself to be attentive and alert while you're going into the slower brain waves.
You're bringing the light in to keep you in a state which is aware.
Yes, yes.
He also went from left front brain to back right brain. And that's what happened in the practice. Yeah, I don't know what that means though. Really, it's just it's subjective. Yeah.
Yeah, and was that when you felt sleepy in the back right? More towards the end?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I was sleepy from like right at the beginning. It's just I'm very prone to when I'm hearing people talking, even in like seminars and things like that. It's always I'll just feel so relaxed. I'll just fall asleep.
Gotcha.
And I don't even know how to I don't know how to stop it or like deal with it. And usually people like kicking me, waking me up because it's like people talking, I'm snoring, and it's really embarrassing.
Yeah. So I do think there's something to those focusing and energizing practices first. Like one of the things that we do in Qigong meditation, we also do in subtle energy meditation, is to start by standing and shaking the body, or tapping the head and tapping all over the body to kind of awaken energy and get the body and the mind very active and engaged before going into the practice. And that's also in Qigong meditation, we do standing meditation, especially to get people alert and attentive and awake while relaxing. And so that could be something to try as well as meditation while standing. So you stand with a hip wide stance, bend your knees, kind of sit into your stance a little bit, maybe put your hands on your abdomen and focus on your breathing and practice going into relaxation while you're standing. Because while you're standing, you're most likely going to be more awake and alert. So that could be something to try as well.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Thank you both. It doesn't help when your voices are so calming. Yes. Thanks. Yes, Byron.
It felt really good at the beginning when we were kind of letting everyone, you could feel the group come in real easy into my space. That felt nice. I was certainly aware of it at that time, though, when I started expanding it out past that I was more aware of kind of being more guarded towards some energy, people that didn't feel good or feel, and so I just recognized that I had to kind of open up in myself more to allow my field to expand to include them, right?
Yeah.
And then that felt pretty good opening up. The other thing that was real remarkable was coming back when we were coming into our personal space again. To me, that didn't feel very good either. I was really aware of, it was almost like condensing of the energy of like unconscious memories and stuff, that people, that we can all be picking up on all the time. This was like this, it's like, oh geez, I almost want to clean this off. It was just so much of it without, I don't know how else to describe it. But I guess it made me aware of how much of my boundaries that I try to keep from stuff like that. By just opening up too much of, you're not always letting in everything that's light and feathers.
Yeah.
Right? But it was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Byron. Yeah, that's really fascinating. And it is interesting coming back in how you do that. I think how, are you consciously letting go of all that?
Yep.
Or are you contracting it in upon you. It seems like maybe you were pulling it all in.
I had to consciously kind of let go.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, Becca?
Well, I felt like I was in constant therapy of judging my behavior because I might let people in that I don't like. And then I went, this week I've been thinking, it's just time to let the good things in because that's where it's at right now. Things are good. And bring that in because I'm so used to having to tolerate the negative and accepting it, then to just go, but how about the good that happened and just let go of those. And so, and then with the group, of course, that's always, and it did feel like the circle of, starting and like the snake she mentioned of, I could feel just the energy come in and I kind of like getting back to only myself because I'm not only knowing that I'm judging myself, but other people can see exactly what I'm thinking too. It isn't always pretty.
Thank you, Becca.
Good therapy. Thank you very much.
Yes. Let me read a little more in the chat. Rebecca says she has to run. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Maybe she did run. Yes. Okay. Fred, thanks for the beautiful and rich meditation. It was truly glad to see you both after what feels like a long time. I feel my energy is dissipating. Yes, Fred. It's way late for Fred. So thank you so much for being here and making that.
I like to say something.
Yes, please.
Well, thank you for this wonderful meditation. And it was funny that I was still up because I have to take care of my health much more than, let's say, 2 years ago. And but I was writing. I tried to voice kind of the inner struggle that I feel with what is happening in Israel. And for the first time, I really could take in many different layers of that whole situation. And so when we came into this meditation, also your explanation in the beginning of that we are in a certain sense kind of regulated by different brain patterns that are interacting with each other, of course. And so there was this feeling of, and also when you ask kind of what is your intention with this practice, I really felt kind of that I wanted to have the different layers to communicate with each other. So it was quite amazing how that this meditation gave kind of was the perfect exercise to get those different layers of my life also, because what I felt when I was inviting more and more people and places and beings in, kind of many of the groups that I have been in, all those different stages in my life, kind of came back, and it felt so full. There was a kind of very deep interaction I feel with kind of different levels of time even. So even the future came in, and it was amazing. And then in the end, when we had to shrink, in a sense, and I feel there was too many people to say goodbye to everyone. So that was a much faster thing. And it was quite amazing that in the end, there were those two really different types of intimacy. Kind of this intimacy that opens up. And in a sense, it lets in so many different energetic fields interacting with each other. Well, in the end, there was this intimacy of my body, which it was so much more simple, unified. So it was wonderful to experience, and wonderful to see you again. And I'm still connecting to you.
Beautiful. Wonderful to have you here, and thanks for your insights. It's beautiful. I love that description.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Let's see. Brian says, I was deeply relaxed. I didn't like contracting the field, but I have nothing more to say as I have no thoughts about the meditation. I enjoyed it, but have few thoughts. It feels healing. Nice. Michelle says, harmonic interaction. That is the wish. Yes. Yes, Fred is in Europe. So it's, what time is it there, Fred? 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning?
It's 20 to 4.
20 to 4. Okay. Yes.
I'm going
Either a
to
very late night or a very early morning. So, all right. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today. And it's wonderful Monica and I missed you all last week, and wonderful to be back. And next week we will continue with Delta brain waves. We're going to be doing a healing meditation next week, talking about Delta and healing, and also about how to work with Delta, kind of the pros and the cons of being too open, being too closed, and so on. So we'll read more from Anna Wise, and we'll do a meditation called Gathering the Healing Energy for Transmission to Others. So thank you again for being here. Thank you to Garth and Humanities team for hosting us, and love and blessings to all of you. Have a wonderful week. And bye for now. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you all. Bye-bye.
Love you all.